Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the new beginning of a new week. Here on Before Coffee, we're going to wake up Rog, and then we're going to look at the current news here in Europe and the US. So, let's go. Facebook, because I call him on Facebook, not on Discord. Ready? Because you know how it is, you gotta call the boomers on the boomer book. He doesn't like that I call him. Probably shouldn't have that. Still. Good morning, Vietnam.
Is that time again?
Yeah, that time again.
All right. 1 second. Must preferred site this hour. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Here we go. Okay. Got your pages open?
Yes.
I guess. Today on Before Coffee, shares in ABN AMRO and ING down after credit sussy bailout. Sousy bailout.
Earthquake hits Ecuador.
What was my next news now? Here we go. G goes to Moscow. And the Netherlands gives $1 million extra to the ICC.
Miami spring break curfew after 2 fatal shootings.
Nothing to worry about in Formula One, a year after the attack there.
And more NCAA bracket news in... What's the name of our show again?
Before Coffee. You named it.
20th, 2023, Before Coffee, where our brains are not quite functioning yet.
We got our first news story here with banks. Dutch banks opened lower today following the news of the weekend of the rescue of the ailing Swiss bank, Credit Suisse. It's either German or French, 2 languages I don't know, by competitor UBS. Half an hour after the stock market opened, ABN AMRO's, which is a Dutch bank, share was down 6%. And ING, which is also a Dutch bank, actually it's the bank I have, is at almost negative 9%. In the hours that followed, the prices recovered slightly. Just before 11, ABN AMRO had bounced back to negative 2%, ING to negative 4.5%. Interestingly, ABN AMRO has a listing on the AEX for the first time today and therefore immediately sees the value fall. The stock exchange in Hong Kong closed today with a loss more than negative 2.6%. Wall Street opens at 2:30 p.m. Dutch time. Credit Suisse shareholders have to write off $1 billion as a result of the takeover. This makes investors in the broader financial sector wary. Credit Suisse has been in a dire straits for some time, and this got worse after the fall of the American Silicon Valley Bank. Despite the relatively cheap takeover of Credit Suisse, UBS does not benefit either. The shares of the largest Swiss bank were about 9% down around 11 a.m. The gold price is benefiting from the turmoil in the financial market. The price today rose above $2,000 for the first time in a year. Gold is seen as a safe haven for investors in uncertain times. There you go. That's our financial news here in the Netherlands.
What about silver? I always say gold. I want the price of silver to go up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy some nice, safe, precious metals.
Yeah.
All right. Well, uncertain times we have. At least 13 dead and magnitude 6.0 earthquake shakes Ecuador. At least 13 people. This is from CNN. After a magnitude 6.8 earthquake struck southern Ecuador on Saturday afternoon, according to government officials. The earthquake struck near southern town of Bailout and was more than 65 kilometers deep, according to the United States Geological Survey. An estimated 461 people were injured from the quake. According to a report from the Ecuadorian president's offices, the government had previously reported that 16 people were killed, but later changed it. Information changes. At least one other death was reported in the province of Azaway, A-Z-U-A-Y, according to the committee department of Ecuador's president. An earlier statement, authorities said a person in the Zawe was killed when a wall collapsed onto a car, and then at least 3 of the victims in El Oro died when a security camera tower came down. They really have details on the deaths in this quite quickly.
Yeah.
People who were injured and being treated at hospitals, the presidency added, did not provide further details. The U.S. Geological Survey gave the tremor an orange alert, saying significant casualties are likely and disasters potentially widespread. Past events with this alert have required a regional or national level response. The USGS added, it also estimated damage and economic losses were possible. CNN affiliate Equavisa reported structural damage to buildings in Cuenca, one of the country's biggest cities. The historic city is in the UN list of World Heritage Site. There is no tsunami warning in effect, according to the U.S. National Weather Service. Airports in Guayaquil and Cuenca remain open and operational, and the country's statement said, your story, 6.8, another earthquake, which will never stop happening.
The Earth is always moving, this is for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, but it still moves and people get stuff falling on them.
Well, it's Monday, and that means we need to look at what's been happening in the Ukraine war, because that's really the only news happening here over in Europe that has long-standing effects. The British Army is ready to help Poland as the country sends some MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine. That is what Defense Minister Heapy said to the German newspaper Welt. The Poles have not yet submitted such a request, says the minister. Poland announced last week that it would soon deliver 4 fighter jets to Ukraine. It is the first ally of Ukraine to supply such aircraft. The combat aircraft can be deployed quickly because the Ukrainian army already uses them. Poland is going to replace the fighter jets with Korean and American aircraft. The British say that they can offer help in the meantime. We will look very positively at a Polish request to fill in the gaps, says Heapy. We really want to sell them our jets. No, I didn't. That's not what they said. But that's what it sounds like. 4 Ukrainian soldiers were killed in an accident at 1 a.m. Central European time during a military training. The center speaks of an extraordinary event that took place on Saturday. It is investigating the cause of the accident and has offered its condolences to the family and friends of the victim. The Netherlands gives an extra 1 million to the ICC, the International Criminal Court in The Hague. The money is intended to assist victims of the war in Ukraine, such as victims of sexual violence against women. Justice and Security Minister Yesilgos made the commitment today in London at a special conference with justice ministers from countries around the world. The aim of the meeting is to increase support and resources for the ICC, which investigates war crimes in Ukraine. On Friday, the ICC issued an international arrest warrant for Russian President Putin. Russian former President Medvedev alludes to missile attack on The Hague. Dmitry Medvedev, Vice President of Russian Security Council, hinted on a telegram about a missile attack on the International Criminal Court in The Hague in response to the international arrest warrant against President Putin. He warned criminal court judges to look carefully at the sky. It is quite conceivable that a hypersonic missile from a Russian ship in the North Sea is used for a strategic bombing of the court in The Hague. Ah yes, you can't arrest us if we just blow up the court, they thought in their head. That's not how that works. Just because there's no court there does not mean the people who put the arrest warrant out are not going to continue enforcing the arrest warrant. It's such a childish reaction, right? Oh, you're going to tell me I broke the law? Well, you can't do anything if I blow up jail. If I blow up the jail, you can arrest me. Incidentally, Russia's not the only country that uses this presence of the ICC as a reason to possibly attack The Hague. Famously, I do know about this. Famously, in 2002, the United States passed a special law to protect the U.S. representatives from prosecution by the ICC. The law, also called the Hague Invasion Act, gives the American president permission to use military means to free suspects from The Hague, possibly with military invasion. Yes, famously, the U.S. and Russia do not recognize the ICC as an international court of law, which is why they'll just bomb the Netherlands if you say, for example, hey, Trump broke international law, or President Bush committed war crimes. That's not our problem. We don't recognize you as a court of law.
Dick Cheney's behind that because he's the person who's.
It was during 2002, so yeah.
Because they knew they were going to invade. They knew they were going to invade Iraq.
And finally, we'll end our little stint here on President Xi Jinping arriving in Moscow for the 3-day state visit to Russia. They're ready to defend the New World Order together with Russia. You love it when somebody says New World Order. That's never a scary phrase to hear.
George Herbert Walker Bush came up with that one. He said it in the speech. He said, "We're looking at a new world order," and everybody,
excuse me, can you say that again? This is Xi's first visit to Russia since the invasion of Ukraine. Earlier today, China's foreign minister said China is taking an objective and fair position on the war and wants to play a constructive role in advancing peace talks. All right, your next story.
Well, our next story is less worldly, more idiots frolicking on the beach. I wouldn't say idiots. You're not an idiot if you want to frolic on the beach. But you're an idiot if you're shooting people. Miami Beach officials imposed a curfew beginning Sunday night during spring break after 2 fatal shootings and rowdy, chaotic crowds that police have had difficulty controlling. The city said in a news release the curfew would be from 11 p.m. Sunday until 6 a.m. Monday. An additional curfew likely to be put in place Thursday through next Monday, March 27th. The curfew mainly affects South Beach, the most popular party location for spring breakers. South Beach, the most underwater part of Miami. I've been there where it's completely underwater. And I haven't been to Miami that much, maybe about 24 times. Yeah, but people want to go party there. Yeah, you can't have nice things, folks. But it's also very very expensive. So I think Fort Lauderdale is still a bit more popular. Although there was an event at the Miami, the Fort Lauderdale Hard Rock Cafe was one of them. The release said that 2 separate shootings Friday night and early Sunday left 2 people dead. Excessively large and unruly clouds and crowds led to the decision. The city commission plans a meeting Monday to discuss potential further restrictions next week. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber said in a video message posted Sunday that the crowds and presence of numerous firearms has created a peril that cannot go unchecked, despite massive police presence and many city-sponsored activities meant to keep people busy. We don't ask for spring break in our city. We don't want spring break in our city. It's too rowdy. It's too much disorder. It's difficult to police, Gelber said. The latest shooting happened at about 3:30 a.m. Sunday, Ocean Drive in South Beach, according to Miami police. The male was shot and died later at the hospital. Officers chased down a subject on foot. Police said later on Twitter. The identities were not released, nor were any possible charges. Friday night, 1 male victim was injured, another seriously injured, sending crowds scrambling in fear from restaurants and clubs in the streets. Gunshots rang out. Police detained 1 person at the scene and found 4 firearms. No other details have been made available. Under the curfew, people must leave business before midnight, although hotels can operate later, only in service to their guests. The city release and the restaurants can stay open only for delivery, and the curfew won't apply to residents, people going to and from work, emergency services, hotel guests. Some roads will be closed off. Arriving hotel guests may have to show proof for their reservation. We don't want you here anymore, is what Miami's saying. Take your money, go somewhere else. You're shooting too many people. Yep. They don't want you. This is what every city says about spring break. We don't want you. Seriously.
Yep. In sports news, or in Formula One news, I should say, the Grand Prix is controversial and will remain so for the time being, but Formula One has hit the bullseye in Saudi Arabia. The deal yields tens of millions of petrodollars annually, and the race on the blood-curdling fastest street circuit in the world splashes off the screen. Despite the controversy surrounding the race, won yesterday by Sergio Perez, no one doubts the future of this Grand Prix anymore. In fact, Saudi Arabia is building a new circuit near the capital, Riyadh, and is already aiming for 2 races a year. A national racing stable is also on the wish list, although Fernando Alonso's team, Aston Martin, is already moving in the right direction thanks to main sponsor Aramco, Arab financiers, and Greenhouse Color. A year after the attack, drivers preferred to talk about curbs and track limits, and it seemed in Jeddah, they no longer had an active memory of the alarming 2022 edition. After financial setbacks and canceled races in the COVID year, Formula One management in Saudi Arabia has tapped into a golden resource, a state that swings unprecedented sports budgets to put itself on the world map. The Grand Prix in Jeddah is it Jeddah? Jeddah?
I don't know.
Jeddah, maybe. Jeddah is the prestige project of the royal family and national dignitaries. Everything on the Corniche circuit is premium. The royal class of motorsports wants to become sustainable, but sprinkles with fighter jet stunts and flies into a battery of The royal class of the motorsports wants to become sustainable, but sprinkles with fighter jet stunts and flies into a battery of VIPs. That sentence doesn't make any sense to me. As a race dessert, the organizer serves up a drone light show together with an unparalleled dose of decorated fireworks. Okay, we're doing food analogy here. I got confused. There's also a desert in Saudi Arabia, so.
Yeah, it's basically all it is, yeah.
Yet a year ago, it seemed impossible that Formula One would return in 2023. Reason? A direct hit by the Yemeni Houthi rebels with a rocket attack that set an oil depot of the state of company of Aramco ablaze. The incident happened during a Formula One training session. At first, there was confusion. Max Verstappen, the famous Dutch Formula One driver, and teammate Perez, his engine had exploded and reported via on the board radio, "I smell something funny in the cockpit. Would you like to check what's going on?" It turned out to be a rocket hit a stone throw away from the paddock. What started out as a dark cloud quickly became an imposing wide blotch that supplanted the blue sky over the port city of Jeddah. The affected oil depot was located in the backyard of the circuit, telling kilometers as the crow flies. In addition, Aramco is the sponsor of the race. To say that the Houthi attack touched the heart of Formula One is therefore an understatement. Okay, well that's good. This article goes way too long about this, but it sounds like it's going back. The rich people in Saudi Arabia are allowed to make themselves more rich. Good job. On to your story.
Well, the Formula One is being taken over by the Saudis. Is that what's going on here?
It's not being taken over per se, but they're able to return back and making money off of it because of the attack on near the race, right? A bunch of people are scared because they're like, what if I get murdered? You know, what if somebody throws a missile at me? I don't want to be missiled. So they stopped going to Saudi Arabia so they wouldn't get missiled. And anyways, to your story. Just something to report on, okay?
Yeah, well, Donald Trump thinks he's going to be arrested on Tuesday, so he's decided that he's going to get a bunch of people on his side and go riot somewhere or throw, whatever. But there's absolutely no evidence that he's going to be arrested on Tuesday. In fact, the Manhattan DA has basically, he's like, you can't do that to us. Let me find that story. Since his office won't tolerate attempts to intimidate following Trump's posts. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in an email, this is from CNN. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in an email to staff on Saturday that his office will not tolerate attempts to intimidate our officer or threaten the rule of law in the city of New York. The email was sent after former president posted on social media that he expects to be arrested in connection with the investigation by New York prosecutors into a hush money scheme involving adult film actress Stormy Daniels, and called on his supporters to protest any such move. Bragg said his office, coordinating with the New York City Police Department, is to ensure that any specific or credible threats against the office will be fully investigated and the proper safeguards are in place so all 1,600 of us have secure work environments. According to the email, which was, when people make threats like this against public officials, are they really threatening? They're threatening the police. The police's job is to protect these people, and they're the ones that are going to get injured in any kind of conflict. So these are anti-police. These threats are anti-police. Keep that in mind. Bragg said his office is coordinating with New York City Police Department and its court to ensure I did that part. Manhattan District Attorney spokesman Daniel Filson confirmed that the contents of the email to CNN will not provide further comment. The district attorney added that his office will continue to apply the law evenly and fairly and speak publicly only when appropriate. CNN's John Miller reported Friday that meetings have been taking place among city, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in New York City about security preparations for a possible indictment of Trump. Well, you can lock everybody off Manhattan if you want to. It's an island. There's nothing but tunnels going there, tunnels and bridges. A lawyer for Trump, Alina Habba, who apparently still has a job, no matter how incompetent she is. Mayhem in New York. A lawyer for Anna Habba predicted mayhem in New York at indictment. That is a lawyer. There's going to be violence if you indict us. There you go. Okay, that sounds good. But there are security concerns that rightfully so. This is what we're doing in this country. You better secure your premises. People are going to be upset. Oh, God, that sounds like a threat, man. Arrest her now. She said, arrest her now. Arrest her. You can't do that. You can't make threats of violence. That is against the law. What? Seriously. She said that no one wants to see anyone hurt. What do you think's going to happen? Anyway, National Security Council communicator John Kirby on Sunday in the White House is closely watching the situation, but said he wasn't aware of any White House preparations for protests or any major activity in the wake of Trump's posts. We're always monitoring the situation here as best we can, Kirby told Fox News. We obviously don't want to see any activity grow violent, certainly nothing to the extent saw on January 6th, but we're watching this, and we'll watch it, of course, closely. Next story. San Diego. I got San Diego State in the upset. Oof, Creighton, which is a Jesuit school in Omaha, Nebraska, versus Princeton, which is an Ivy League school, which doesn't give out scholarships for athletics. So they basically got to have smart players who can play. Princeton with 2 wins. That's a tough one, man. I got to go with Creighton. He's up and down. I think they just beat Duke. I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I have a tough time with Florida Atlantic being a big, but I gotta say they win a lot of games. Can't be hating on them. Kansas State, because Michigan State beat my team, so they can just lose at life for the rest of the time. Go ahead. Houston's been basically in the top 5 all year, so yeah, I would take them. Fierro, Texas. You believe in the Big East and Jesuit colleges. Okay. Yeah. Another team, UConn's one of those teams that just sometimes they just get beat by bad teams. So I'm gonna take the other team. Who's it gonna play? Watch them play. No, I'll take Arkansas. Gotta take Gonzaga because every year they're a top 5 team and every year they get beaten. It's really sad. They need to get those once. They've been to the finals once. Going with the Gonzaga.
Did I not record my audio again this whole time? Why do I keep doing this? Anyways, I'm just gonna quickly trail off my picks for our top teams here. What is this the Sweet 16? I didn't even write down 16 teams. Oh, I guess it's 16 teams against each other. So here are my 8 teams. My 8 teams for the men's bracket here. I've got Alabama, Princeton, Tennessee, Kansas State, Houston, Xavier, UConn, and Gonzaga. So we'll see what happens. I guess tomorrow. Are these all these games happening today?
No, they're not happening until this weekend.
Okay, so we're gonna have to wait until after the weekend to find out who wins the Sweet 16.
Final 4. Before we do this again, we will have a final 4. All
okay.
Right. You didn't record any of that?
Oh, I recorded it. I just keep on muting myself so I don't make sound while you're talking.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. All right.
Do you want to do things of the day or whatever?
Okay. We talked.
In this history, day in this history.
This week in history, and we never, we never do. We never do the week, like the Saturday and Sunday stuff that happened, right? Because stuff happens. So we can go back to March 18th in history. March 18th in history. Queen Latifah was born. Chuck Berry died at the age of 19 in 2017. Queen Latifah was born in 1970, so she's 53. That was Saturday. On Sunday in history, the Iraq War began in 2003. 20 years of nonsense. From there, we're just about ending it now. Bruce Willis was born in 1955. Glenn Close was born in 1947. William Jennings Bryant was born in 1860. And Arthur C. Clarke, English writer, known for 2001 Space Odyssey, died at the age of 90 in 2008. A lot of people living to be 90.
Yeah, pretty cool.
This day in history, March 20th, 1995. There was a subway attack in Tokyo that killed 12 people using sarin gas.
Yeah. Like a cult. I believe it was made by a cult. I remember hearing about this. They had to get rid of all trash cans in Japan ever since then.
Wow. On this day, 1957, Spike Lee was born. On this day, 1927, Mr. Rogers was born. Happy birthday, Mr. Rogers. You are 95. William Hurt was born on this day in 1950. Heinrich Ibsen, Norwegian dramatist and poet, was born in 1828. Kenny Rogers died on this day 3 years ago.
Oh.
At the age of 81, he knew when to fold them. In 2015, Australian politician Malcolm Fraser sued, but died at the age of 40. Prime Minister died at the age of 84. Did I say 40? 84. Right, so on this day, 1969, John Lennon and his wife, Yoko Ono, got married in Gibraltar. This day in 1969. Happy anniversary, Yoko. All right, that's all we got.
That's all we got. All right, well, this has been Allison from Before Coffee here from Europe, talking about F1, even though I don't know anything about F1, but Europeans love F1. Like, they're always arguing about drivers, and all my drivers better than yours. So I had to report on that because that's very important. And of course, we've got the just banks, Ukraine war, just the normal weekly news. Hope to see you tomorrow for some more, I guess, basketball, because we'll cover the women's bracket tomorrow. Stay tuned for that.
We'll be more prepared tomorrow, I swear. So thank you for a March 20th, 2023 edition. Messy, but information is just so much information in everything we give you. Anyway, March 20th, 2023 edition of Before Coffee.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.